Chapter 39. We continue with the MC and Tsubasa in the train. She tells him that Yukishiro told her that he and she aren't dating actually. She continues and says that she was just wondering what's with Yukishiro being all possessive, and if it was her, she'd find it pretty annoying. She says that she knows that most girls are just like that though, but she's really not the type to get all jealous. So stuff like that doesn't bother her. She tries to act cool and say that people are always telling her that she's basically one of the guys anyway. She tries harder to be a pick-me and says that she's quite boyish, so she doesn't really care. She continues to be a pick-me and tells him that she totally understands how annoying it is for guys when girls get all jealous over them, and says that she feels pretty bad for the MC. While she's saying this, the MC looks at her like, what's this be on about right now? She gets close to him and asks him that if he really thinks about it, wouldn't she be so much easier to hang out with rather than Yukishiro? The MC looks uncomfortable and asks her what is she trying to say. She smiles as she looks at him. She suddenly laughs and tells him to hold up and not to get her wrong, as she's not trying to badmouth Yukishiro or anything. She continues and tells him that sometimes she just blurts out what's on her mind and it's unfiltered. She tells him to not take it the wrong way, and she didn't mean anything by it. She continues yapping and tells him that he's being manipulated by Yukishiro's jealousy even now, and she just thinks that it must be rough on him. As she is yapping, the train stops at a station. As the train stops, Tsubasa and the MC lose their balance because of inertia. Tsubasa clings on to the MC for support instead of grabbing literally anything else. As she's holding him, she tells him that it was a close one, and if he hadn't been there, she would have been a goner. She grabs onto the MC tighter and looks at him. He looks at her and gets creeped out and thinks that he really can't deal with this anymore. He gets his arm out of her hold and tells her that she might be a little confused, so he'll clear something up for her. He tells her that Yukishiro hasn't said a single word to him about Tsubasa and him. But even if Yukishiro were to get jealous over him, he would actually find that pretty sweet of her. As he says this, he walks out the train. She gets confused and shocked by his reactions. She asks him, isn't he getting off at the wrong station, as she panics. She tries to chase after him, but the door closes. He looks at her from the other side. As the train goes with the pick-me inside, he breathes a sigh of relief. He feels bad that Yukishiro wants to be friends with someone like Tsubasa out of all the people. He thinks that if this was just his problem, it would have been really easy to just cut ties with Tsubasa, but she's now dragged Yukishiro into this. Just because he can't get along with Tsubasa doesn't mean that he should force that on Yukishiro too. He's really not comfortable at all with Tsubasa's personality, but ultimately, that's just something that Yukishiro has to figure out on her own. Now, he thinks about his past. He remembers that Hanabi always stuck her nose in and meddled with his relationships. We see the young MC playing as suddenly he hears Hanabi telling him that he's just not allowed to talk to Rei-chan. Now, she looks angry at him as she tells him that he can't be friends with Iori-chan. The young MC timidly agrees with her. As he recalls all this, he thinks that being told things like that was an everyday occurrence for him. So, in the end, he never managed to make a single friend until he cut all ties with Hanabi. Allowing Hanabi to control his relationships and cut so many people out of his life for so long, he regrets it all so much. Which is exactly why, when it comes to Yukishiro and Tsubasa hanging around together, he really has no say in the matter. He stands there at the station as he thinks that for now, he'll just make up some excuse so he doesn't have to go home with her. The problem should just solve itself if he cuts all ties with Tsubasa outside of work. The next day, we see the students cheerfully greet each other. We see the MC greet Yukishiro as she sits down. Yukishiro hesitantly greets him back. He looks at her and gets concerned. He whispers to her and asks her what's wrong. Hearing him whisper to her makes her jump a little by surprise. She doesn't respond to him, so he gets more worried. He looks at her and wonders, why does she look so scared? He musters up his courage and calls her name as he wants to tell her something, but suddenly someone screams in the class. Now we see that someone has fallen on the ground. As the MC gets up and sees who it is, we see that it's Chiaki. And this is how this chapter ends. Hope you all enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you,